Alright, guys, today we are going to be reacting to why Thomas Sowell doesn't think Obama is a socialist. I think he was socialist, but he drives me more like a communist kind of type of guy. Isn't there a lot of stories about in letters stating that he used to read the manifesto a lot during his time in the University of Hawaii, and he used to hang out with a lot of communists back then. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what happens here.
Talk about President Obama. Do you think he's a socialist?
No, not technically, I suppose, because socialism usually means the government ownership of the means of production. The pattern he's following is much more like that of the fascists, where the government leaves the means of production in private hands, and the politics.
Fascist. This one was from the left field. I did not expect him to just say fascist.
Tell them what to do. And that's much more politically viable because after the government forces the private industry to do something and it turns out disastrously, you can always haul the people from private industry up before congressional committees, denounce them on television and so forth, leaving out the fact that it was you who forced them to do what they did.
And this is the way you see, for example, the health care reforms that were passed.
Well, I was thinking actually about the financial reforms and particularly the housing collapse. That the people who, Barney Frank in the House, Senator Chris Dodd in the Senate, were the people who pushed for all kinds of mortgage lending standards to be reduced, making mortgage lending enormously more risky than it ever been before. And when all of that collapsed, they then summoned all the leaders of financial institutions up before their committees and spent hours denouncing them and so forth on nationwide television. I mean, they understand that the best defense is a good offense. And so this is great political theater. It has nothing to do with reality.
Well, what about the private sector, though? I mean, you know, it is true, isn't it, that there were lots of kind of risky bets that were being made with a lot of money, which was private money, certainly, but it would have a public effect. There are lots of kind of external effects.
There was some of that more often. The risk was the lenders. One of the reasons lenders don't care whether you're really a good risk is they sell the mortgage to you, and then they sell it. They make out the mortgage to you. Then they sell it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the risk now is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's risk.
I wanted to ask a little bit more about how you see President Obama as a leader, because there were certainly very high hopes. And I think they were broadly shared about him as a leader. And yet, how do you think he's turned out?
Terrible. But those hopes weren't based on anything he'd actually done. I mean, if you look at, I was telling my wife about the irony of Martin Luther King's thing that you should be judged by the content of your character rather than the color of your skin. If he'd been judged by the content of his character, he would never have made it through the primaries.
He's talking some fat, and I don't understand why, as a nation, we elected this goofball called Obama. I just simply don't understand. Proving once again that fascism is indeed a lefty ideology. Listen, folks. I used to be a Obama supporter back in 2014, 2013. Huge Obama supporter. But he was doing a lot of stuff that was not making a lot of sense. And basically, I remember 2012, I was doing my master's degree at the University of Milwaukee. And I met this guy from Las Vegas, Nevada. He was taking like film director, doing his master's degree in film director, as a film director. And I remember him saying like, I voted for him in 2008, but now I'm not voting for him. I said, why? Why? He's a black guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, he we have to show the world that we're not racist by voting for this guy. He's like, no. The economy policy, the policy for economic growth that he tried to put our nation in a very bad spot that we might never recover. And I was like, hold up. Well, what is this about policy? What he's talking about? And that was my first political awakening. 2012. And that's when I started doing a lot of homework, and I didn't like his approach with immigration, all that stuff. And this was, we pay for this as a nation, and I'm gonna explain why. We elected Obama because we didn't want to be racist. We ended up being racist by electing a person based on the color of his skin. We elected Obama based on the only thing that he can just simply provide, the color of his skin. And he was a good public speaker. Very good. That's it. But outside of that, when it comes down to Obamacare, I mean, the premiums are through the roof. Thanks to that program. Secondly, the government grew so much that it's very hard to even make a budget. We have to keep the government working. We have to keep printing money, printing money just to keep this thing, quote unquote, running. I mean, as a nation, we pay for our own sin, and that was a big sin. Let's just read some of the comments here. Not a socialist, but much more evil than that. A communist. That's what I said. A communist is just a socialist in a hurry. I am going to miss this great American when he's gone, but his integrity and wisdom will hopefully last forever. Yeah, this is why we're doing a lot of these videos of Thomas Sowell, folks. We need to get this information out. Exactly. Fascism is the kissing cousin of socialism. Socialism and fascism are two sides of the same collectivist coin. Collectivist coin. Okay. I cannot express how much I admire Thomas Sowell. There's a lot of good people, but folks, you guys can do the same thing that I do. I just watch a lot of these videos of him, and just enjoy and just educate yourself on this, because I know Thomas Sowell, but I haven't really watched a lot of videos about him. I mean, I done that so far, but I want to keep learning. But I want to make sure that I get as much as possible from him, and then I'm gonna be reading his books on top of that. I'm gonna be reading Millet, the president of Argentina, his book in Spanish, because Spanish is my first language. I'm Puerto Rican, and that way I can just be integrated into the topics and know more about it. Each American, we have a duty, is to make sure we're educated in these kind of topics. And when I see Thomas Sowell, he just simply give me that vibe of just be better when it comes down to these kind of fringe of the political arena. I get fined $800 each year because I don't have health care. Obamacare has screwed me over. I am a 1099 contractor. What can I say? Crazy, huh? Let me know what you guys think. Is he right about Obama? He really was one of the few hitting Obama right in the left. He was hitting Obama so hard when a lot of these. Let me just put it this way. During Obama's year, he was one of the few hitting Obama because the Republicans were very afraid. They were afraid because they were afraid to be called racist. But here you have Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell hitting Obama hard. Let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, I'll see you next.